Hi, my name's Russell Quirk. I'm one of 3 Brentwood North councillors. I'm the only Conservative councillor, the other 2 are Liberal Democrats. I was elected to Brentwood North in May 2006, which means that on May the 6th this year, I'm up for re-election. The purpose of this video is just to tell you a little bit about me and a little bit about what I've done over the last 4 years, and I guess to tell you about what I also intend to do if I am re-elected for another 4-year term, which I sincerely hope that I am. I was elected, as I say, to the town hall behind me 4 years ago. I've been very, very active, very, very busy for the people of Brentwood North. I've stood up on lots of issues. I've certainly got a reputation for having a loud, quite outspoken voice. I certainly speak my mind on behalf of my residents. I've enjoyed several very senior roles. I spent just under a year as the chairman of the planning committee. I've spent just under 2 years as the environment chairman, which also encompassed parking management for a period of time. That was a particularly rewarding role where actually we saw Brentwood's recycling performance increase from 14% in 2004 when we took over from the Liberal Democrats to a massive 42% now. So I oversaw, as I said, the last 2 years of that performance. So very, very proud of that, very proud of my roles and my achievements at Brentwood Council so far. And now I'd like to show you just a little bit of what I've done and why I think you should vote for me again on May the 6th to re-elect me as the only Conservative councillor left representing Brentwood. In 2007, I heard the quite horrifying news that Sainsbury's supermarkets, as part of their expansion plans for their existing supermarket in Brentwood, wanted to use this piece of land as part of those expansion plans. In fact, they wanted to use it just as an extension of their warehouse. So I had several very harsh words with them on the basis that because this land was actually given to the people of Brentwood by Hambro Bank in the 1980s, it shouldn't just be used up by Sainsbury's in an attempt just to further their corporate ambitions. I'm fine with that in terms of capitalism and all the rest of it. However, when you've got a very rare piece of land like this is in the middle of such an urban area, it's important that it's preserved. So as part of those discussions with Sainsbury's, in fact, apart from persuading them that they could not use it as part of their expansion plans, I in fact managed to persuade them to come up with £80,000, and as part of that managed to kit out this particular play area with a lot of new play equipment, which now restores this piece of land to what it was intended to be used for, which is a kids' play area. And it's now a very, very important part of Brentwood North, and an achievement, I've got to say, that I'm immensely proud of in terms of restoring the parkland here to a proper use that everyone can enjoy, as you can see. The redevelopment of William Hunter Way behind me was certainly one of the most talked about things for a couple of years up until recently, when the planning application was approved by the full council of Brentwood Borough Council. Now, I spent about a year before that speaking up for residents and ensuring that their voice was heard, based on the fact that although many of us, me particularly, want a cinema, and a cinema has huge benefits for the town and for people of all ages, particularly youngsters, and of course people are always talking about the fact there's nothing to do for young people. But the fact remains that what the developer Stockman Hallidale decided upon was a monstrosity, without putting too fine a point on it, something that was proposed to be 155,000 square feet. And only 11% of that was supposed to be cinema, the rest of it was going to be retail and parking. Now, I was so vocal and so vociferous about not wanting such a large construction, so notwithstanding the benefits of the cinema, that actually I was banned from voting in the council chamber, something actually that I spoke up and protested about independently to the actual issue itself. Simply because I feel that if you're electing a member of the council to speak up for you, you should be able to do that all of the time, and notwithstanding such ridiculous pieces of protocol where actually it stops you speaking on behalf of your residents before a vote is taken. I did manage to get my own way and actually speak at full council and at the planning committee to say in no uncertain terms rather, that it was something as a facility that was to be welcomed, but not something that was going to overshadow the surrounding properties and was going to be so huge. So I was very, very much against the detail of the planning application that Stockman Hallidale submitted. This is Hopefield Animal Sanctuary in the Brentwood North Ward. I first got involved with the animal sanctuary when Ernie Clark, when I was first elected, actually called me to say he had a bit of an issue with an enforcement order against a sign that he put on the A12 just to try and earn a few quid to pay his vet bill. I then, in fact it was the first council meeting I spoke at, stood up to speak in favour of him being allowed to keep the sign. We lost that battle, unfortunately, but what it started really was a relationship that's got stronger and stronger over the last 4 years, which included a couple of years ago Ernie coming to me and saying that Tesco, who in fact own the land here, had decided that they wanted to sell it, which obviously then had a potential impact on the future of the sanctuary here, in respect of potentially a new buyer closing the sanctuary down and kicking the animals off. So I got involved with that to the extent that a few of us actually took some and did that in an effort to protest outside their headquarters to persuade them not to sell the sanctuary, and I'm pleased to say that it worked. So weeks later they decided to back off and leave Ernie and Clark here to run the sanctuary in peace. This is one of the zebra crossings in the part of Ongar Road that I'm responsible for as one of the 3 councillors for Brentwood North. And the scene a few months ago of a horrendous accident where a baby was knocked over, and that baby then spent considerable time in intensive care. And I have to say it was very, very touch and go whether he would survive. Unfortunately, thankfully he has. But it highlights an issue here across actually 3 of the zebra crossings in this particular part of Ongar Road, where we've actually seen 7 similar accidents where pedestrians have been hurt over the last 5 years, and frankly my view, of course, particularly culminating in this incident, as I say behind me, was that enough's enough. So within days of that latest accident I went to Essex Police, also to Essex County Council's highways officers, also to our own to insist on a meeting whereby we could discuss at length putting into place some improvements here to ensure that no similar incidences occur. I'm very, very pleased to say that, quite uncharacteristically for local authorities, within a period of just a few short weeks, a review had been done of this particular part of the road, and Councillor Lee actually took the agenda item to his panel in January, where I was very pleased to stand up and speak and move a motion that £33,500 of funds would be allocated to the Ongar Road here to highlight the crossings, make them more visible, also to improve signage, sight lines, sight splays and so on, and just to have a look at this part of Ongar Road in the round, and to make sure that it's as pedestrian friendly and safe as possible. Behind me here is the former Highwood Hospital site, which has just been bought by Bellway Homes. It's a site where the developer intends to build 205 units, 205 residential properties, which some would say is fine in terms of tidying up the site, and you know, I tend to agree with the principle of that in terms of obviously tidying things up, because the site's certainly seen better days. What developers tend to do is obviously look to the maximum in terms of units and profit, rather than perhaps having an absolute regard for the local residents, both in terms of the people that are going to live here and their amenity, but also obviously the amenity of the people immediately around. What I'm particularly concerned about with this application, which has now literally just been submitted to the planning department of Brentwood Council, is that we're going to end up with potentially 2 or 3 big issues. One is a distinct lack of parking potentially, and secondly, very importantly, is the effect that it's going to have on traffic in the Ongar Road and the surrounding streets, which at the best of times is rather fraught in terms of congestion, but with an extra 200 properties is not going to get any better. So I'm certainly looking to the residents of Brentwood North to re-elect me as what they know to be a very, very strong voice when it comes to planning matters, so that I can stand up, particularly as an ex-chairman of planning as I am, and make sure that whatever is decided behind us here is for the best, and I don't just mean for the best of the developer, but in terms of what is absolutely best for Brentwood North and its residents as a whole, and that to me is much more important. So you really do in Brentwood North need a strong voice and someone that's not scared to stand up and speak their mind, as you know I do.